Good afternoon and welcome to the June edition of Good News Friday. I'm Mark Skorka, president of Opera America, and I'm happy you're here with us to share some good news from the field. In the middle of working through the current challenges, we've set aside time each month to talk about positive change and stay in touch with friends and colleagues. We want to acknowledge the good work that's happening at our member companies and across the field and the steps we're taking to keep opera moving forward. Today, we have four really special guests. First, composer Anthony Davis. His first opera, The Life and Times of Malcolm X, with a libretto by Talani Davis, premiered in 1986. Since then, Opera America has been proud to provide support for Amistad, Wakanda's Dream, and most recently, the Central Park Five, with a libretto by Richard Wesley. We're thrilled when it won this year's Pulitzer Prize for Music. Welcome and congratulations, Tony.
Oh, thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Next is bass baritone Derrell Acon, who sang the role of Antron McCrae in the Central Park Five at Long Beach Opera. He's also the company's director of engagement and equity and an alum of Opera America's 2020 Leadership Intensive. On the way to becoming a PhD, Derrell was a Fulbright scholar and brings all of his great talent to our show today. So thanks so much for being with us. Next, Cerise Jacobs. Cerise is a librettist and a philanthropist. She's president of the Charles and Cerise Jacobs Foundation and founder of Whitesnake's projects in Boston. Among her works is the libretto for Madame Whitesnake with music by Zhu Long, which in 2011 won the Pulitzer Prize for Music. We have two Pulitzer Prize projects represented here. As a philanthropist, Cerise launched Opera America's Idea Opera Grants for composers and librettists of color. Last and far from the least is tenor David Portillo, whose tremendous talent has thrilled audiences on stages across the country and around the world, including the Metropolitan Opera, the Teatro Real in Madrid, and Glyndebourne, to name just a few. Welcome to everyone. Anthony, first, congratulations on winning the Pulitzer. How did that work? Did they just call you one afternoon and say, hey, guess what?
Well, actually what happens is they don't even call you. What they do is they put out a press release, right? So I had no clue that that was going on. And then actually people from the press started calling me. And so I found out from Franco Terry, who was runs New Music USA, who called me up and said, "Oh, congratulations." I said, "For what?" And then he said, "Well,
did you finally get a letter or anything that said?"
I did get a letter eventually, yeah, but they released it to the press is how you find out. It was in the middle of a meeting I was having with my the music faculty at UCSD. So I was on a Zoom meeting with them, and then I found out I won the Pulitzer Prize, and I forgot to mute myself on the Zoom so that everyone in the faculty heard when I heard.
Oh, that's a wonderful story. That's a scene in an opera.
Yeah,
that's fantastic. Cerise, through Opera America's Idea Opera Grants for composers and librettists of color, you're helping us encourage the work of creative artists who are new to opera. What is your vision for the evolution of the opera repertoire in the years ahead?
Mark, I believe that it is time that we amplify the voices of BIPOC composers and librettists, and the only way we're going to do that is we put money behind it, and also the network that Opera America has. And what I hope to see is that we will create a generation of BIPOC creators. Their work will become well-known, maybe even included in the repertory. And I believe it's a question of acclimatizing your ear, because people of color, we talk differently, we sound different, we have different musical styles. And as the mainstream opera people get used to hearing different styles, different kinds of music, I think that we meaning BIPOC people, will come into our own.
Well, Cerise, we certainly share your vision and are so grateful for your support in helping and your creativity in helping make that possible.
Thank you,
Dave,
Mark, and thank you, Opera America, for embracing this project and using your platform to amplify this.
thank you for that. And whenever we have sort of turned the rudder on the ship, we've been able to move the whole ship. So we're hoping that we do that again in this wonderful direction.
Part 2 is coming up.
David, you were supposed to be taking part in the world premiere of Awakenings at Opera Theater of St. Louis this summer.
Right.
And I wanted to ask about your artistic process. How does preparing for a new work differ from preparing standard rep, like Tamino, one of your signature roles?
Yeah, I was really lucky to be able to be in the first of the 2 different workshops that were involved. The one that took place in St. Louis about a year and a half ago, and so I was well aware with the needs of the piece and of the beautiful music that was involved, and then also how this story had so much evolved from not only a story of Oliver Sacks, but into kind of how both Aryeh and Tobias knew him and knew Oliver Sacks, and it was really nice to be kind of a part of that, the actual beginnings of it. And that first workshop was really special. It had a lot of the cast as a part of it, and it was it's beautiful music. I'm really sad that it didn't get to make its premiere this summer, but it'll happen really soon.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to hearing it, because I love their work. But when you prepare Tamino, you can listen to a dozen singers sing it and figure out, you can watch videos and see what Tamino is in a dozen different productions. Here, you are laying down the footprints. Is that a different challenge?
Yeah, of course. I mean, there's a little bit more time you have to take with just learning the music. And luckily, it's in a language that I know and I like, and I sometimes speak. And so I definitely enjoyed working on the beautiful tunes that actually Tobias wrote for me. I was very lucky because the music that was written for me in particular, my aria, was very melodic, and it made sense with the text. And a lot of times that's the best part of some of the best new music. And the things I've heard of Tony's music too, I'm excited that all these composers are writing for singers so beautifully and so melodically. It makes it a joy to actually learn.
Oh, that's wonderful.
Yeah.
Derrell, congratulations as being part of the cast that originated the work at Long Beach Opera. Now, a couple of weeks ago, you made some really honest and open remarks during one of our panel discussions. And I was wondering what it was like for you to perform such a powerful opera in your home community, and a work that resonates with your own work as an activist for racial justice. What was that all like coming together for you?
It was wonderful. One thing that I remind folks during this period of what I call the racial awakening in opera, which I'm hoping that is the case, is that a lot of the inequities and the disconnect between larger racial politics and the opera industry may have been unnoticed by a lot of our white colleagues, but for Black people and a lot of people of color, that's our reality, and we've internalized that. So to have the opportunity to perform the Central Park 5 with 4 other amazing men, colleagues, and then, a chorus of another 4 artists, that was just wonderful because we had that shared experience. And so some of that shielding, some of that self-protection, we were able to assuage a bit of that, and that's always very liberating. And I share Cerise's vision that, the more folks come to understand that it's okay for sounds to be different, it's okay for aesthetics to be different. In fact, that's what artistry is. And I'm so excited for that new world. And I'm glad we're all sharing that vision. I'm looking forward to it.
Well, I certainly hope that when more productions and performances of the Central Park 5 come up, that you get to do it again, because here you have created a role and you want to keep going with it. So I hope you're in those future casts.
Me
I'm
too.
going to move from Derrell's comments to the first news item from Opera America. We're really pleased to announce the creation of a mentorship program for administrators of color, based on the model of the mentorship program we have for female administrators. It will be developed in conjunction with members of our Alana Opera Steering Committee and introduced over the summer. along with our Idea Opera grants, our Idea Opera residencies, and this new mentorship program, we're building a portfolio of activities that will advance the careers of creative artists and administrators of color in our field. And we'll continue working on it and continue doing more, but this is the latest program we'll introduce this summer. I'd like to share congratulations with Janine Tesori and Tazwell Thompson, whose opera Blue, which premiered last summer at Glimmerglass Festival, won the Music Critics Association of North America's Best New Opera Award. Congratulations to them and to Glimmerglass for that wonderful news. We're happy for Opera Omaha, which has just been awarded a $100,000 grant from the Our Town program of the National Endowment for the Arts. It will help create a case study about the company's wonderful Holland Community Opera Fellowship Program, which is a great example of civic practice. And I just encourage everyone to remember that we're awarding civic practice grants from our Opera Fund this year. So please visit your website or our website to learn more about the program and the deadline for letters of intent. Go to operaamerica.org/grants. And then speaking of civic practice, I want to extend congratulations to Opera Theater St. Louis for their leadership of the Arts United St. Louis Benefit Concert, which raised $350,000 for the Regional Arts Commission Artist Relief Fund. So there you have some good news from members. Please keep us informed of any good news you want us to share during one of our Good News Fridays. You can email your highlights, your ideas to Vinny Cavato at goodnews@operaamerica.org. That's goodnews@operaamerica.org if you have some news you'd like us to share. It is our tradition at the end of each annual conference to celebrate anniversaries. And this year we have some very significant ones. In addition to Opera America's 50th anniversary, there is a 100th anniversary. Now, a lot of anniversary events were canceled due to the coronavirus, but remember, you can celebrate an anniversary or a birthday anytime you want. So we'll celebrate a lot of these anniversaries when we can get back together. But celebrating its 100th anniversary is Cincinnati Opera, making it the second oldest opera company in the United States after the Metropolitan Opera. Celebrating 75th anniversaries, Opera Delaware and Opera Mississippi. Celebrating a 50th anniversary, Opera for the Young. Their 25th anniversaries are being celebrated at Ardea Arts, at Opera Lafayette, and at the Orchestra of New Spain. Now, we also have some general and artistic directors who are celebrating anniversaries. At Lyric Opera of the North, Sarah Lawrence and Calland Metz. Eric Michko, 10 years as General Director at North Carolina Opera. Esther Nelson, 10 years leading Boston Lyric Opera. Maria Todaro and Louis Oti, 10 years with the Phoenicia International Festival of the Voice. Craig Trumpeter, 10 years at Haymarket Opera as the Artistic Director. And at the Glimmerglass Festival, Francesca, celebrating 10 years as Artistic and General Director. Now, we have some people who've been in their positions for 25 years. Greta Holby at Ardea Arts, founder of the organization, of course, and John Hooms at Nashville Opera, the CEO and Artistic Director. But every year we do have to not say farewell, but perhaps say au revoir to a couple of our colleagues who are retiring. This year, retiring after more than 30 years at Cincinnati Opera, Patty Beggs, the General Director. Tippy Garner is saying farewell to Opera Mississippi. Larry Hancock is retiring from Opera San Jose. And Dale Johnson, after more than 30 years of tremendous service as Artistic Director at Minnesota Opera, is retiring. We wish them the very best in the next chapter of their lives, and we hope that retirement is easier than running an opera company. We don't want to neglect the Opera America staff, and this year, Dan Cooperman, Noel Deutsch, and Vincent Cavato are all celebrating their 5th anniversaries with Opera America. Opera America's 50th anniversary celebration will continue digitally through the summer and into the fall. And in addition, we encourage you to watch for announcements of our virtual road trip. We will follow a logical roadmap across the United States to visit all our member companies by Zoom to highlight their contributions to the field. So a lot coming up, a lot of it virtual, all of it celebrating the progress of opera in America. But now let's play some trivia. So we have 4 contestants this time, and we have a number of multiple choice questions. There'll be 3 possible answers, and we ask you to write down on a piece of paper your response, A, B, or C. We're not very creative. And then we'll see how well you do. You can hold the answer up to the camera, and we'll be able to see what letter you have written down. And we ask everybody to participate from home. You can put your answers into the chat room. We watched last time and lots of people are answering. And let me assure our panelists that there is no pressure. We do not keep score. There is no prize. But just to let you know, Angel Blue won hands down last time, but we don't keep score. So get ready. The first question. In the winter of 1900, the Met toured to Minneapolis for a series of performances, including Tannhäuser and Lohengrin, on the same day. In the same tour, they added an encore of Lucia's Mad Scene to the end of what new work in the winter of 1900? Was it Lulu? Was it La Boheme? Or was it The Shining by Paul Moravec and Mark Campbell? So Lucia's Mad Scene was added to which opera because the evening wasn't long enough as it was? What answers do we have? Tony, letter B. Derrell, B. Oh, David, no. Lulu wasn't written yet in 1900. Okay, so we have...
You told me this was going to be easy, Mark.
You have...
I'm just kidding.
Three right answers. Oh, you know, Cerise, you cannot trust them, Cerise. We didn't say that Cerise was also a lawyer. So any shenanigans and you know, you're in for it. Okay.
Right, but I had wanted food questions. Food trivia is my thing.
Cerise, I drew some bananas and an apple. I knew you wanted some food answers.
Oh, that is good of you. Okay, question number 2. The 1906 earthquake in San Francisco rocked San Francisco hours after a performance of Carmen. It was part of the Metropolitan Opera tour to San Francisco because the San Francisco Opera didn't exist at the time. Who was the star of that production of Carmen? Was it Enrico Caruso, Ciceretta Jones, or Frederica Fonstata? Who starred in Carmen in 1906, just before the earthquake rocked San Francisco? Your answers, please. B, 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 C, no, B. All right, we have the correct answers. It was Enrico Caruso. And he wrote a letter. He got on a train the next day, went back to New York. He wrote a spine-tingling letter about what it was like to be in San Francisco. Ciceretta Jones, of course, was a very famous Black singer at the end of the 19th century. She was called the Black Patti after Adelina Patti. And because she wasn't hired by any opera company, she formed her own company that literally toured the world.
Yes.
Ciceretta Jones was of great interest to Jesse Norman, and you can look up about her, but fascinating story, and more should be known about her. Yes, it was Enrico Caruso.
But it's the star of Carmen should be a woman, not a man.
Well, you know, when it's Enrico Caruso, it's hard to compete. It's hard to compete. So question number 3. This year marks the 100th anniversary of Cincinnati Opera, established in 1920. Before it moved to music hall, the company was legendary for performing its summer festival in what venue? It performed in what venue before moving to music hall? Was it A, the Drake Planetarium, B, the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center, or C, the Cincinnati Zoo? So where did it perform? Okay, David, Cerise, Derrell, Tony, see, yes, all of you are right. It is the Cincinnati Zoo. In 1920, they weren't yet building planetaria, and the National Underground Railroad Freedom Center opened only about 15 years ago, and it's a wonderful, wonderful museum, and Cincinnati Opera has worked a lot with the Freedom Center, but everyone who visits Cincinnati should check it out. But it was the Cincinnati Zoo, where elephants brayed while sopranos sang. Now,
Mark, I have a story about that. So I
go
was
on to our final question.
Never mind.
Let's see here. Where we go. Okay. So, final question. Which LGBTQIA focused opera has been among the top 25 most produced works in each of the last 3 years? Is it Fellow Travelers by Gregory Spears and Greg Pierce, As One by Laura Kaminsky, Kimberly Reed, and Mark Campbell, or Le Contouré by Rossini and Eugene Scribe? So which has been among the most performed operas? Derrell, we don't have your answer here yet. B, you are all right. It is As One. Although I will say Fellow Travelers is tracking a pretty close second, but it is still As One that is the most performed American opera, among the most performed operas and the most performed American opera in the last several seasons. Well, I just want to say thank you for participating in our quiz. I will say we have a complete draw. Every one of our panelists, every one of our guests was exceptionally smart, knows their American opera history inside and out, and we know that some of them have a real skill for line art. David, you know, when it's all over, you can become a visual artist.
I will need something to do soon.
We hope we get back to regular work and hearing you sing very soon. We want to end our time together today by playing a video of an excerpt from the Central Park Five. Now, yes, the good news is that this work was honored with a Pulitzer Prize. But more important is the good news that opera can deliver a powerful sociocultural message that resonates with the world around us, that opera can illuminate important issues, that opera can inspire us to be better. So the good news is that opera can fulfill our highest ideals of us as people and of our country as a nation. So lots of good news. There's first a short documentary followed by an aria from the opera sung by tenor Nathan Granner. And I encourage you to stay with us for the next 5 minutes and enjoy this. Again, Anthony, congratulations. All of you, thank you so much for being the panel. Everyone have a good weekend. Now for an excerpt from the Central Park Five. Thank you.
Some act in life, you have something to feel.
To them, does that work? Is that what you says here? Yes.
Okay, so we get a little bit of time to get it queued.
Yeah.
When you're never alone.
I think the Central Park Five, the opera, is a crucial story in our culture right now.
First of all, this story is still relevant, which is very unfortunate, but I think we need to realize that and accept it and acknowledge it and do something about it.
You can't hear enough of this story and stories like this, because you have to remember that this is one of many stories that actually caught national attention.
I also think that it's important to bring it in this format, in this genre, because there are people that wouldn't hear it if they didn't come to this opera, and it's also exposing opera to a new audience of people that already know the story but are coming to see an opera.
Opera is kind of like history in motion, and especially this opera is about truth. It's the retelling of what happened in 1989.
The Central Park Five deals with these relations with race, it deals with relations of innocence. This piece has to deal with the passion and the heart of these people.
Then you add Anthony Davis and his style and his voice to that, and you just have gold.
In the case of the Central Park Five, it's something that I remember very distinctly. Living in New York at the time, I lived in New York in the 80s. When it came up to today to do an opera, I was fascinated with that, because a lot of times I've gone to subject matter that's sort of where there's a collision of culture.
Anthony Davis does a wonderful job of juxtaposing the position of not knowing where you are by changing the meter.
The music is really representative of 1989.
Anthony Davis has been a master at highlighting the dissonance.
So if you're not hearing it in the vocal line, you're definitely hearing it in the music and vice versa.
But there are also sections that are hummable. There are also sections that kind of sound like music that was happening at the time.
I think one of the unique features of my music is its rhythmic conception, and that rhythm propels the drama.
We're out here, but we don't care. We are the young ones who keep coming.
The Central Park Five story is 5 youth in Harlem.
These 5 young boys who were all between 14 and 16 and
that were accused of doing a heinous crime, a rape and beating in Central Park in 1989.
And there was an outcry for justice.
they choose these 5 young boys since they already had them in police custody.
Implicated them, indicted them, charged them. They go to prison for it.
The point is that they were charged with a crime that they did not commit.
These real people who spent time in prison for a crime they didn't commit, it tears you up inside. And but we know we have a job to do, and that job is to get the word out. That's something that is not political. It is something that really speaks to the heart of men and women everywhere.
I think it's important that we revisit these moments, to think and look deeply into it. And through music, I think I can try to get people to empathize with the 5. To imagine that they are one of the 5, that this happened to them.
They stole from me all of them, the police, the DA, and them. Who's gonna pay me back? They stole my mind, my happiness, all stolen, taken away, all gone. Who's gonna pay me back? Who's gonna put back the chunks of me that were ripped out? All I ever wanted was for truth to come shining through. I need everyone to know. But now that the truth has come, why does it hurt more than the